Hello there, everyone. I think I'm going to wait a few minutes for a few more people to show up. How are you tonight, Steve? I knew you'd make it. I didn't advertise this as much as I should have. So we may not have much of a crowd tonight, but, that has its bonuses, I guess. So, yeah, we'll just wait a few minutes till maybe some other people walk in. As you can see, I'm not in my normal office. We had a snafu probably about 5:30. I went in and I'm sitting and doing all my checks for everything. And for some reason, my computer in my office, the video camera would not work. Could not get it to work. So I'm scrambling at like 5:45 and I run down to here because I have a laptop down here that I know works. And I'm coming to you live from my sewing room, which is the basement. So I see a few more have come in. Hi, Diane. Hi, Carrie Allen and Sandra, Toby. Everybody's showing up, so that's awesome. Welcome, everyone. I was just letting everyone know you're going to get stuck looking at my fabric and sewing. I'm so sorry. We had a malfunction upstairs with my computer. The video camera would not work on it. I don't know why. It's never just given me trouble before, but it did today. So I had to run downstairs. I didn't have time to take this laptop, unhook everything, because I use this for embroidery and all kinds of stuff on my machines. And to unhook it and move it would have been a monumental nightmare. So I had like 10 minutes to go. So here I am, folks. And I'm so glad you all could make it tonight. Hi, Mickey. Hi, Lillian. Hi, P.Y. Huya. Cindy. Oh, well, we've got a lot of the people in here that I see all the time in comments. And if you see me looking away, it's because I've got this teeny tiny laptop in front of me that I can't see anything on. And then over here, I have my big monitor that I work from. So I'm actually looking at everybody's comments over here. So everybody, if you do have questions tonight, please put them in caps. My husband will also be here moderating, trying to help me make sure I don't miss any questions. I do have a list of questions that people sent in over the last few weeks. Before I really start delving into everything, can everyone hear me okay? I didn't have time to adjust the microphone settings on this laptop. Okay. Well, I see somebody already threw me one. Cindy, my favorite story of all time has to go between two, and that is the one about the Down syndrome boy who was making friends with a Bigfoot family, and that was here in Ohio. That was a really emotional story. It was about a lot more than just a Bigfoot. My second one is the one about the Bigfoot several Bigfoots up in Canada. I think it was Alberta. And the story was titled, "Once a Sasquatch Gets Your Scent, It Will Follow You Till the Ends of the Earth." And that is a story that's told from his great-grandfather's memories. And it was actually happened around like the 1900 turn of the century time. And it was incredible the way it was written. Interesting things about the frontier back then that I found really, really, really interesting. So those are my two favorite ones. Don't worry, everyone. I see Lon L. Charco. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading tonight. The kittens are probably going to be around. They're usually like little tiny furry velociraptors tearing around the house. I do have two way over there that are sleeping, but they're too far away for me to even turn the laptop for you to see. They're all the way on the other side of the basement here. But don't be surprised if you see some cattails, kitten butts. Anything can happen when I've got more kitties in the house. So let's see. Hello, everyone that just came in, and thank you, Keith. Yes, if you don't mind, folks, please hit that like button. It's pretty important anymore. They've changed the algorithm, and it all now really depends on comments, on likes. I mean, I guess it always has, but it's a little more now than it used to be. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with some of the questions that people had been sending in. And this first one is a question I get all the time. And that is, have you seen one yourself? Have you had an encounter? And the question is, no, never seen one. I've never been out in the woods and had something so unusual that I think that was probably a Bigfoot. That doesn't really happen, hasn't happened to me. I don't go out into the wild as much as I used to when I was younger. When I was younger, I did, but rheumatoid arthritis kind of kicks you down a notch, and I don't like going out there because I never know when that's going to kick in, and I don't want to be 10 miles in deep somewhere and have trouble getting out. So I don't really go out anymore. The next question is, what got me started on this? What got me started on this whole thing of Bigfoot? And, well, my cousins that were much older than me had a really extreme experience, and I really believed them. That happened when I was about 13, I think. And the first thing that was way back before that, and that was watching In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy, the Bigfoot episode when I was really young. And it was my first exposure to something called Bigfoot. And that blew my little bitty mind. It just gone. There's something out there walking around. And I would find whatever books I could in the school library or in my local library, which of course were always very, very, very limited. I think we forget how wonderful the internet is today, that we can connect, that we can research, we can find, we can pull up 1,000 stories in a nanosecond. I love that term, a nanosecond. Somebody just used that in a story recently. But before that, you had to go to the library. You had to hunt down all the books. You had to read through them. You couldn't just do a search. So it was really limiting, but I was always looking in the libraries for new books. And then that happened to my cousins. That reignited it again. And it's just something that has never left me, for what it's worth. Never, ever has left me. Hi, Figgy. Hi, Carrie Allen. Hello, everyone I have missed since you've walked in. I'm trying to watch 2 monitors at once, and you know how that goes, folks. It's anyway. All right. The next question I have is, do I get any stories or anything about encounters from Europe, England regarding Sasquatch or Dogman? I have in the past. They are very few and very far in between. About 3 years ago, I got a story from somewhere in Germany, and it was more the old East Germany, if I remember correctly. They're sorry, I'm trying to keep a cat. Trying to keep a cat from making a cameo here. She's that was Sweet Pea Sage's mom. But yes, I have gotten some from Europe, and I did get 1 or 2 from England a long time ago, and it was more about they were in a camper van and strange things were happening. They didn't necessarily say it was Sasquatch or Dogman. So, things do happen over there. I think the population density in Europe and Britain really almost precludes anything over there. I mean, I don't want to say that because I believe if they exist, they could be existing there too. But I think it's going to be a lot harder over there. Their population density is, and I really witnessed it firsthand last year when I spent a month over in England and Scotland. Lovely countries, but everyone lives very, very close to each other. Everyone I know out here has at least a half acre. We're on a couple acres. So we're spread apart an awful lot. So, and beyond the settled areas in the United States, the vast amounts of wilderness are just incredible. So yeah, something could be lurking. And I think there could be something really in Europe and England. I get those stories, but not very often. I kind of wish I got more because I think they're pretty interesting. The next one was somebody asked, what happened to Under a Dark Moon? Now, if you weren't familiar, Under a Dark Moon was going to be a second channel that I started this summer. I launched it. I got, I think, 3 stories up, and then it stopped. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but quite frankly, in the last 4 or 5 months, there's been something in the family that is taking up all of my bandwidth. I don't have the free time I used to. Even getting my normal videos up is a bit of a scramble, and that's not usually how it is for me. So I'm not going to give all the details. It is sort of a medical issue, but I'm not going to go into any more than that. Yeah, I just had to let it go. I do want to revive it and say January or February, depending on how some things go this month with that person. There should be some things that hopefully will be resolved. We're hoping. And that is my big old fat cat. This is 15-year-old Noodle. This was my dumpster cat. Best thing I ever dumpster dived in my life. He was a tiny kitten. His eyes weren't even open. Somebody had thrown him in the dumpster, and he was trying to live there. But that's Noodle. And okay. And hello again to everyone who's walked in. I have seen all kinds of people commenting over there, and I can't keep my eye on all of them, but I am happy you're here. Thank you. And if I seem a little stilted, a little not normal today, folks, I am sleep deprived really, really bad today. I almost canceled this again. I was really sick the last couple of weeks. That's why I had to cancel last week. And I don't think I'm fully recovered. And so if I seem a little out of it, please forgive me. All right. The other thing is the next question. I sent my story into you, but you haven't read it yet. Why not? There could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be simply that it is not right for my channel, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Sorry, folks. That's the hazards of having a space that I can't close off from the kitties. Where was I? So there may be a lot of reasons. It may not be right for my channel. It may not be, you may have crossed that line of believability for me. And that's pretty hard to do because I've always said, once you believe in Bigfoot, you've crossed the Rubicon. There's no going back. So I'm not going to sit here and say, I believe this, 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 and this, but you're lying on the rest of this. How do I know that? If we've already gone so far as to believe in Bigfoot, how can I not believe in what you're saying? I'm not going to discount you. I may not believe it myself, but I'm not going to discount you. So I've often used this one before, and a lot of my regulars will hear this. One of the craziest ones I ever heard or got was I had a flat tire. Bigfoot came out of the woods next to the road, helped me change my tire, lifted up the back of my truck. Then I told him to hop in the back of the truck, and we drove into town, and I drove through Wendy's, and I got him a Frosty. And that, to me, stretches believability. So no. So sometimes it's just, there could be a lot of different reasons. And sometimes I will get to your story, but it might be a few weeks or a month. Depends on what else is on my plate, what else is going on. Like this month of December, I've got a lot of things already lined up for Squatchmas, which, by the way, starts next Saturday, the 13th, I think it is. So for 12 days, I've already got everything slotted out. So I won't really have time to do any other news stories. And the next one was left by, it was the same person in the same email. I've also left you a lot of comments, and you have never replied. I think that's a thing that if you're on the other side of the computer, you're not going to have any idea how it works. And that is not being condescending. It really is true. I have, I don't know, 600-700 videos. And I will get a couple thousand, I don't even know how many views a day, maybe like 10,000 views a day or something across all the videos. I might get 100 or 200 new comments every day across 700 videos. That doesn't seem like a lot, but then if I miss a couple days, like when I was sick, I now have like 1,400 comments that I have to approve, comment, like, And it is really, really it's so overwhelming. I have considered trying to hire a new assistant to handle all that because it's really time consuming. And I do like going in. I do like talking. I like interacting. I try really hard to get to as many comments as I can, but I am human, unfortunately. Sometimes I wish I had superhuman powers, but I don't. The next thing I got was, do you think Bigfoot is human or ape lineage? I will tell you what I think, but before I do, let me preface it with saying I am not an authority. I am not a scientist. I'm not a heavy-duty researcher. I am not an anthropologist. I'm none of those things. I'm only going to tell you what I think. And this is not the end-all, be-all. And I think that it's more human than any kind of ape or animal. I used to go to the Cincinnati Zoo quite a bit. And even when Harambe was still alive, by the way, he was not a nice gorilla, but that's another story. When I look in their eyes, whether it would be the apes or the gorillas or any of them, I never once thought human. That's human. I would look at it and I thought, yes, that's a very intelligent creature and it's very sentient kind of a feeling when I would look at it. It was sentient rather. But I never thought to myself, that's really close. I mean, that's human. It's close to human, but not human. I kind of feel like everybody says with Bigfoot, they look at it and they look into a human face. That if you remove the fur, it looks like a Native American. You know, not having seen one myself, I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think the way it moves, the way it stands upright, the habits we've heard about, I think it's more human lineage. However, again, everybody else is allowed to think what they want. Unlike a lot of other Bigfoot people in this community, I'm not going to insist that whatever I believe, everyone else has to believe. I want you to think and find your own ideas of what it is. The other one is the same person asked this question, and it is, what about the paranormal side? Do you think Bigfoot has paranormal attributes? Again, we've crossed that Rubicon with the Bigfoot where, you know, to anyone else, just believing in Bigfoot is just as crazy as believing in UFOs or ghosts or anything else. Everybody has their own parameters of belief. I personally believe they are just normal flesh and blood. I personally don't go immediately for the paranormal side. However, I'm not going to discount all paranormal. For instance, I believe the possibility certainly exists, even among humans, that they can read, I don't want to say read minds, but there's a little bit of ESP sometimes. I think that is the percentage is too high to be coincidence. Could things like that be happening in a Bigfoot? Who's to say? Again, I've crossed that Rubicon. Right now, until something else tells me otherwise, I'm going to say for me personally, it doesn't exist. That doesn't stop me from doing stories on my channel that have heavy paranormal elements to a point. Again, I believe that everyone else should be allowed to have their own beliefs. I'm not going to hammer you down that you have to believe what I believe. Another one I got, and I've had this question again. You know, it's funny when I have these live streams and I answer questions. I know there's a lot of newcomers and they ask a lot of the same questions I've answered before. This one is, why haven't you come out fully against the BFRO? I have no reason to. I am not saying they're this or that. I honestly have had almost zero contact with any of them. The most contact I had was I briefly was introduced to and said hello to Amy Boo, I think her name is. She's a BFRO person, and it was at Gatlinburg 2023, 2024. It was very brief. It was just friendly. That's all the contact I personally have ever had with the BFRO. I know a lot of people have very strong feelings about them, and that's okay. Again, I don't expect you to believe what I believe. If you're dead set against them and you have your reasons, awesome. You do what you want. That's fine if you have an issue with them as an entity, but please don't forget, one, all those people that have made reports through them had nowhere else to go. I think we forget that when the BFRO started in the 90s, I think it was the 95, 96, something like that. I mean, you couldn't just log onto a computer and do a search and get all kinds of information. I don't know, maybe AOL was out back then, but computers were just in the infancy. If you had a sighting, you had nowhere to go. You called your local TV station, you called your newspaper, you might call your sheriff, probably all of those, but you didn't have something like we have now at the fingertips. So the only way to so-called log a report was you went through someone like the BFRO, and you had trouble probably back then figuring out that they were even out there. So don't forget those people that made all those reports. Those were real people who had nowhere else to go, didn't know where else to go because they're not in the Bigfoot world. And they made reports. Don't discount them. Don't discount their reports, please. There's enough disbelief in the Bigfoot community, and that's not what we want to foster. I understand if you don't like the entity, but don't discount the people, and don't discount a lot of the investigators. They are really passionate people, from what I've understood. Like I said, I've only briefly met one in my life. But, I think they're just regular people who have this as a passion too. So I'm not going to come out fully against them. Because I have no reason to. I've not had any reason. But I understand if other people do. I don't have too many more quick questions, and then I'll start going back and taking questions from people in the audience, I guess you'd call it. But the other one is, what are some other resources you would recommend if you want to get in, if you're new and want to get into reading Bigfoot? Of course, books. Dr. Meldrum's books. John Green had a book out. Oh my goodness. The good books out there are legion. So are the bad books. And you're just going to have to wade through and figure out which ones you really do like. The other thing is something a lot of people may not know is a little newsletter called the Bigfoot Times. And it's ran by a man of the name of Daniel Perez. And really nice newsletter. It comes monthly. It's not that expensive. It comes on real bright, pretty yellow paper. It's definitely worth the cost if you want to see what's going on in the Bigfoot world every month. And this last one I've saved for last because it's a doozy. I have so much I could say on this, but I'm going to try to keep it short and not. Anyway, the question is, why are you copying other channels? I see the same stories on other channels, and then I see them on yours. Let's back up for a minute. One, there is always the possibility that people send things to multiple channels. Unfortunately, we cannot enforce a no simultaneous submission rule like they do in the publishing world. I don't always know what's put out on other channels. I don't have the bandwidth. Look, I can't even run my own second channel. I don't have time to, I barely have time to listen to some of my big favorites on YouTube. And I really have some big favorites. The other thing is, it is true that some channels have come in, and it's not just me. They've done it to Cam over at Dixie Cryptid. They've taken from Leslie at Cryptids Canada, probably more than I know other channels. And they will take the transcript and then they will record it on their channel. How I know that's what's happening is somebody contacted me who had sent me a story a couple years ago, and they were outraged when they found their story on another channel, and they wanted to know why I sent it to that channel. Well, I hadn't. And it came out that when that person's story was submitted, there were a lot of significant changes made. because they had used voice text, I think, to do their email to me. And there were huge gaps missing, big things, and we had to fix it. We sat on the phone, we fixed some things. So what was on that other channel was word for word all the things I had fixed from her original email. So there was no doubt at all it had been scraped from my channel. And here's the thing. You do it, you do it. I don't care, because here's the thing. You can always go back and you can find that story on my channel, and I guarantee you I had it first because it was mine, and I have the emails. I have the emails. So I don't care what other channels do. That's on them. I know my conscience is clean. I don't steal from other channels. I don't have to. All right. Let me see if I can find some of the channels. I'm sorry, some other questions. Oh, thank you, Patty. I love that you love my channel. Thank you, Cindy. There's so many nice new people here. Thank you so much, everyone. Noodle, I know you want to be an internet star, baby, but this is not the way. I wish I had my favorite kitten down here. He's such a little ham. I'd pick him up and show him to you, but he's not down here, folks. I will have to put up pictures of all the new kittens. So let me explain what's going on. Oh, that was another question I had that I forgot to put on here. Why do I have so many cats? I didn't until I moved here. When we moved from a very populated part of Greater Cincinnati to a very rural area out here where there's like 900 households in our little town or something crazy. Like there might be 1,000. I don't know. Okeana, Ohio is very, very tiny, very tiny. There's no fast foods. There's not even a Walgreens. I mean, there's nothing. This is cow country. My next door neighbor is a 45-acre cornfield. Across the road from that cornfield is, I think, 112-acre cornfield. So I do have neighbors. I have great neighbors on this little private lane. It's I don't know, there's like 20 neighbors. But when we moved here, there's a couple acres here. When we moved here, that winter, I kept seeing these poor little starving cats scrounging around looking for mice in the cornfield. And eventually I started feeding a few. Why? Because I'm a soft heart. I can't help it. All animals. It's not just cats. My husband and I both grew up with dogs. My dad trained dogs. So yeah, I took pity on them. And once you start feeding one, of course, the whole feral colony came. Long story short, in the last 4 years, we've went through 31 cats outside, as in we've been trapping, neutering, releasing, trying to stop the overpopulation. And we are now, and we've been homing a lot of them out. We've been getting them homes. Actually, 2 of the kittens from another batch went to Teresa, who is a Sasquatch member. She lives here local. We are down to 7 cats outside right now, 5 males, 2 females. And the 2 females are fixed. We're working on trying to trap the last 5 males. So yeah, it's a long story, but really, I haven't really kept many of the cats. I kept Sage and her mother a few years ago. And this last batch of 4 kittens, I can't explain to you. Me and my husband both, we could not let them go. And I have rehomed the cats and kittens here continuously, never a problem. I don't know. So anyway, so that's the question. That's the answer to that. We have been trying to trap, neuter, and release a lot of cats, finding the ones that are socialized a home, working on socializing others to get them to a home. So we're down to 7 cats. That's a big thing in my book. So, all right. Yeah. Cats everywhere. That's paradise. You know, that's true. That's for sure. Yeah. Oh, Rick, that's cool. You can be a dog person. I like dogs too. Oh, Teresa's in here. Hank and Kirby say hi. Teresa is the one who actually adopted 2 of the kittens from, they're Sages, my other cat Sages, litter mates. So we've had a lot, looks like, going on. I haven't been able to look on this screen much. I have a rescued Norwegian elk hound. Nice. Your cat arts and crafts room and material. Oh, all right. So folks, yeah, I am down here. For a lot of you who came in later, this is my sewing area. I do a lot of quilts. As a matter of fact, right here, you can see a stack of quilts that I've either been working on, have working on, still need to work on. The bottom one I rescued from an antique store. I just need to do some work on it. The point is, when I started today and I was getting ready for this live stream, I went into my office, turned my computer on. Everything's fine. I could not get the video camera on my computer up there to work. It's 5:30. I dickered with it for about 10 or 15 minutes. 5:45. I have no choice. Now, I was pretty sure the camera down here worked on this. I have a laptop down here because I do machine embroidery. So I need to hook up to my machine or do designs and all this crap. So this is a little teeny tiny laptop I'm working from. So I had to come down here. So I'm sorry you all are looking at my quilt stuff. This is not what you came for. That is what you get. So I'm so sorry. Sharon, I absolutely do too. As a quilter, I know the time that's been spent in them, and I just can't see them wasted. That's wonderful that you help the cats locally. Have you spoken to any of your human neighbors to see if they're part of their barn cat family? None of the neighbors around here are doing anything for or with the cats. They are aware of them, but none of them want to encourage it. Hello. You guys want to see one of the baby kittens? She's 4.5 months old. This is little bitty Sugar. Come here, Shugs. Come here. Say hello. Yeah, she's a good girl. So that's Sugar. We're talking about everything but Bigfoot here, folks. Please restore. What was that? Please restore the tree knocking intro. I used to love that intro. Well, Miss Deb, that was actually something off of YouTube Studio Music. So you can literally download that from YouTube. I forget what it's called. I can look it up later for you. But it is actually just from YouTube. It wasn't anything I bought or anything like that. When I started, I did not know what I'm doing. I had no idea what I was doing. Some would argue I still don't. And that's okay. I guess you all have noticed I have been changing things around quite a bit. You know, I'm just like anyone else. I'm changing things up. I'm moving the furniture around, you know, just doing stuff to see what works better. What do I like? You know, you do something for so many years and it's just, you get into this rut. And I thought, well, I'd like to do something a little different. The podcast version of Buckeye Bigfoot. Come on, Sugar. It doesn't have the same layers of music and all this other stuff I've been doing. And what I found was after doing that for a couple months and going back and listening to them for quality purposes, I really like the simplicity of the podcast. I start out, there's just a barred owl hooting. I go right into the story, no preamble, no talk. And at the end, no talk. The most I do now at the end is letting people know you've been listening to the Buckeye Bigfoot channel or podcast, blah, blah, blah. The difference is in the podcast universe, you're not expected to connect and make a community. That's a lot harder to do than YouTube. And on YouTube, they want you to be more personable. They want you to build a community, and there's a better opportunity for it here. So don't think I'm going to not do anything in terms of talking in the future. I will. I definitely will. So let me see. I see Kimberly says she likes the horses. I like the horses too, but at the same time, I'm kind of burned. I just want to try some different things from time to time. Well, thank you, Julie. I hope so. I like to do like the Halloween marathons. What? No, don't do that. Okay. Well, I don't see any other real questions out there. I didn't know if anybody had any others. If you've got a question, let me know. It doesn't have to be Bigfoot per se. Would be welcome. Sorry, I'm trying to fight a little kitten butt right here. Kathy, yeah, Sugar is a sweetheart. She really is a sweetie pie. Her brothers can be quite mischievous, little tiny furry velociraptors that tear around the house, destroy everything. But she's the one who will try to crawl up, and she likes to lay right here on my neck. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah. Do you ever get stories from New Jersey? I think I have. There was something about the Pine Barrens a couple years ago. I think that the two I've gotten that I remember had something to do with the Pine Barrens in particular. One of the most horrific dogman encounters I've heard came from Vermont. You know, I would think Vermont and New Hampshire and Maine, I would have gotten a lot more stories. I mean, Vermont and I think it's New Hampshire, the Green Mountains. Is that what they're called? I know there's some huge mountains in New Hampshire and stuff like that. But I don't get too many of those. I've gotten a few, but not many, not as much as I would have thought. How is your health? My health's pretty good. I had a really, really bad infection, sickness, whatever you want to call it, a couple weeks ago. I had no voice. So that took me down, but I don't think that's unusual. I think a lot of people get those at the start of the winter, and then it's like it boosts my immunity for the rest of the winter. Let me see what I forgot or missed, if anything. I agree. All animals. Like I said, we grew up with dogs. I've had everything from hamsters to cats to dog. Just the main reason we started with cats years ago was we were working 12 and 16-hour days when we were younger, and it just wasn't, we just couldn't do that to a dog. That's not right. That's not fair. Cats could half the time care less. You know, they're okay to be left alone all day, you know, as long as you give them love when you get home. But a dog is a different story. You know, they don't use litter boxes. They can't hold it for 12 or 16 hours. I know I can't hold it for 16 hours. It always amazes me, these people I know who put their dog in a crate and they think, well, they'll be all right. And then they leave for 10 or 12 hours. Really? I want to see you sit in the closet for 12 hours, and I don't want you to go into the bathroom for 12 hours. See how that goes. But there's me. I'm sorry. I get a little passionate about some of that stuff. I had a cat that did that. He would lay on the back of my couch. When I sat down, he would creep onto my shoulder. And this is what she's wanting right now. She likes to give little bitty kisses. She's a sweetheart. I have heard of encounters which seem like Mr. Bigfoot can be fun. Possibly. But he could also, in my opinion, be very scary. Have you ever done voice work before or been offered voice work? Your voice is amazing and your reading is excellent. No, actually, before this, I was a business analyst for a Fortune 100 company here in Cincinnati. It was a big blue chip company, as they're called. I never have done voice work at all. As a matter of fact, if you go back to like the first year of this channel, I go and listen to them and I cringe now because they're so, I don't even have a word for it. I don't have a word for it at all. It's just something I've developed a little more. I read the way, oh, sorry. I read the way, or I narrate the way I would read if I were um, actually reading a book. And that's what this all comes down to. Um, so that's what you hear when you hear me narrate. This is me narrating exactly the way I would read it in to myself. I'm a voracious reader. I have more books than I do fabric, if you can believe that or not. And I have a lot of fabric. I'll try to go a little further. And now we're getting over, you see the books way over there and my empty Amazon boxes. Don't laugh. I was not prepared to film from down here today, so bear with me. Let's see. Yeah, the cats today are just cracking. They are me too. I didn't plan for this to be all about the cats. And this is really a little stinker. She likes to be held. She wants a lot of love. Let's see. I'm the same way about stuff like that, Nance. Now, that was a few minutes behind, so I'm not sure if it was the kitties or what it was, but it's always good to know someone shares your same feelings about things. I have heard that about Bigfoot, that they sound like little kids when they laugh. I have heard that, and it's kind of creepy. I'm a scrapbooker. I love your craft room. The only thing is I'm in the basement, which even though it's heated, it's amazing if it's 66 degrees right now. That's why I wear this big flannels down here. Even in the summer, it's really, really cold. Now, I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I pretty much have the finished basement all to myself between quilting and sewing and machine embroidery. I do sublimation. I have a big TV down here. This is my she cave, my she basement. And this is where I spend a lot of my time, no doubt. Yeah, the red eyes are supposed to be the really, really dangerous ones. The red eyes, the ones with the black fur. People say those are the really dangerous ones. And I wonder how that came about, that there's a delineation between the brown fur and the black fur. And I don't know. It just makes me wonder sometimes. What year did you start your channel? I've been watching a long time. I want to say it was April or May of 2019. I had just been up to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference that year at Salt Fork. The only year I've ever been able to go, ever. There's a long story with that. I've never been able to go again for logistical reasons. And I kept meeting all these people up there. Because in between speakers, you go out in the halls and check out the vendors and talk. And have you seen a Bigfoot? And I would always say no. And I'm like, well, did you see one? Yeah. And I would always ask them, have you told people about this? It would come out. Now I can't say anything. I'm in the middle of a custody battle. My husband would use it against me in a minute. Or I remember the one guy said he worked for a small machine shop of some kind. I forget what kind he said. And there was only like 20 people or something. And the family that owned it was ultra religious. They only believed that the earth was like 3,000 years old or whatever. If he said he came out and believed in Bigfoot, he'd have been out of a job probably within a month. They were real funny about that. Just those kinds of things. So it just gave me the idea, if they can't tell their story, I can't, because I had nothing to fear. And I didn't care if I got fired from my job, because we had other things in place. I didn't have to worry about that. That was not my sole income at all, even before this channel. And we were in a position that we would have been fine. So I wasn't fearful at all. And I did not believe that when I started this channel that it would blow up the way it has. Um, that was a shock and a surprise to me. I remember telling my husband, gosh, it'll probably be a year or two before I get 1,000 subscribers. I had 1,000 subscribers in like 2.5 weeks. I was monetized in 5 weeks, which is incredible on YouTube because the parameters to be monetized are pretty tough. But somehow I managed it. Don't ask me how. Everybody's like, well, what was your secret for? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I did that worked. Miss Nance, do you hear from the Midget Queen? No, I do not. Not lately. I also had to change my phone number a couple years back, and she did have my phone number, so I don't know if that's part of it. But no, I don't hear from her. Do you ever use the AI voice thing, or is it always you? It is always me. It always has been. I'm not real. I don't want to say I'm not tech savvy because I am. Ask me to do an Excel formula, I'll do it with my eyes closed backwards. I'm cool with that. I can do a lot of things. I'm good with Canva and all these other things. But AI, I use it enough to make like some YouTube thumbnails. If I have to, I'll be like, make me a thumbnail with them standing by a van or whatever. But AI has a lot of limitations. I don't know if anybody's really worked with it. One day for a lark, I'm like, write me a Bigfoot story. And it wrote the most childish jibber jabber. And me and my husband just sat and laughed. I thought, yeah, I don't have anything to worry about here. I don't have a thing to worry about. AI voice. I'm not paying for that. And I think those are paid things. I don't really know. I do know another narrator who said that they were thinking of using the AI voice just to make it easier on them, because recording time is actually, it can be pretty lengthy. It's longer than you think. That 30-minute video that I produced can take me an hour and a half to record, just because every time you make a mistake, you have to back up and you have to fix it. And there's so much more to it than you would think, more than I thought when I started. But when that person tried, they said no matter what they did, it just didn't really capture. It got the voice. It didn't get the tone and inflection. It didn't get pausing at the right time. If you ever wonder if it's a real person, listen for the intake of breath, because sooner or later your narrator has to take a breath. Even the most professional people. I do know with certain like book narrations, they will stop and they will cut those out, but you'll hear me breathe in a lot. So that's usually your first dead giveaway. There's nothing wrong with AI. I mean, there are AI channels right now exploding all over the YouTube world because they can churn out material a couple times every day. So some of these AI channels I ran into in less than 6 months have almost 1,000 videos up. You know, I've been doing this for 6.5 years and I've only got like 700, 800 videos, whatever I've got. I get out 2 a week because the production time is a little lengthy. I could probably push for more, but I don't get that many emails to support that much. So when you see someone who's only been running for 6 months and they have 600, 800, 1,000 videos, you know they're AI. Their content will be AI written. The thing is, people used to accuse me of writing all of this, and I always said if I could write this much, I would have a book and I wouldn't be doing YouTube. And okay, all right, yes, you can have loves. And the other thing is with the whole AI thing, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I don't know. But you know, mine isn't, because I'll say 70% of the time, the people who wrote the emails in will show up in comments. They will talk about it in that comment section. And that's usually a dead giveaway. The AI ones, nobody ever says, yeah, that was my story. That doesn't happen. Yeah, I know. She's heavy. And I don't know if you noticed, but she keeps licking her tummy and she'll nurse her on her own tummy. I don't get that. They weren't weaned too soon. As a matter of fact, their mother was with them until they were almost 3 months old. They weaned themselves onto solid and wet food as soon as they could. As soon as I put it out, they went for it. They were not weaned too soon. So I don't know what her deal is. I think it's just, like the vet said, it's just like a kid sucking their thumb. It's just comforting, I guess. I laughed so hard when we heard about someone thinking Nance is an AI voice. And that's not in reference to the other one who posted and asked that question. So the other commenter, don't think that's about you. What happened here was someone left a comment on a video saying, you all are stupid for believing this. You know she's an AI voice, right? And I remember I bust out laughing when I saw that. I think I pinned that comment to the top of the video comments section. And I think I pretty much tongue-in-cheek lambasted them. And then so did everyone else. Because I was like, I've been doing this before AI was ever a thing. So many people have met me at conventions. And, you know, AI doesn't do live streams. They can't do that immediate response thing. So how about the next upcoming Bigfoot cruise? Do you plan to attend? I've actually thought about it. The first year I looked at them, by the time I got on board, no pun intended, to look at it, all the rooms that would have interested me were long gone, and I wasn't going to be stuck in an interior room without a window. I'm not claustrophobic, but that almost makes me claustrophobic. And then every other year it was a logistical no. I didn't want to commit to one this next year. Like I said, there's a medical issue going on in the family. As a matter of fact, I do want to let everyone know I will not be doing any events next year. I'm not going to Gatlinburg again. I'm not going to Mercer County. I'm not doing North Bend, the Buckeye Trading Post. I'm not doing any of them. Again, it's because I can't commit, not knowing what's going to happen with a family member. Let's just say that. And I just can't do it. So this next year is going to be the first year in a long time since my first year of starting this video that I won't be doing any events at all. Okay, sorry about that. You talk this much and you get a little thirsty. At least I do. I've been watching you since you started. One of my favorite of the first ones was the fireworks ones, and the one where the boy fell asleep in the tree stand. You know, I do like, especially the one about the tree stand. Wow. I mean, a lot of that, again, that story, the Bigfoot is a part of it, but there's a lot more going on in that story, and that is what kind of interested people. And it's really interesting after all these years, and I think about all the different stories I get. Some of them they're almost like rapid fire bullet point. I was here, I did this, I did that, and then I saw a Bigfoot and I went home. Then others are very descriptive, almost a novel format, written very well, like some of them we've talked about tonight. The boy with the Down syndrome, that was excellently written. So was the one about when Sasquatch gets your scent. And the one you're talking about, the boy that fell asleep in the tree stand, and the fireworks one, I thought those were really, really good as well. Those are some of my favorites too. I never know what I'm going to get when I open an email. Sorry, folks, I'm just scrolling through here. I missed this one, but my husband just sent me, sorry, kitten coming up. My husband just sent me this one, and it was from, I think it's LO2639. Hi, Nancy. How can you tell if the encounters you receive to share on YouTube are real encounters? That's a really good question. And I've had that one before, and I've had that question myself. I mean, I've thought about that myself. This is what I was talking about way earlier when I said, you know, People ask why I don't share their encounter they sent in. Sometimes it's beyond the realm of believability, and I have to know my audience. There are some audiences that would literally love a story about a Bigfoot that came out of a UFO, killed some cattle, scared a woman to death, went to Wendy's, got a Frosty, and took a few pigs back up on the UFO. They would probably love something like that. I get that story. I'm not doing it. There's no way for me to know what's real and what isn't, what's true. I just go with my gut, and I have to do that. Really, how can anyone say with absolute certainty, even if you have the most stellar encounter and you go to report it, say with someone like the BFRO, an investigator eventually will come out. Are they going to come out most of the time quickly enough to see footprints still there, crisp and clear? Possibly, but that would be all. Otherwise, they have to take your word for what happened. At least that's my understanding. I'm sure, just like anything, an investigator would, just like a police officer, they probably have a good sense of when someone's lying. I'm not saying I have that. I'm just saying there are some that I know. I'm like, yeah, no, that didn't happen. There's no way that did not happen. So I don't really know, but I do try to at least make some informed decisions, I guess you'd say. I don't like saying anyone's lying. I really don't like saying that. Have you received any updates from Dee lately? No, probably not in a year and a half. I'm not sure. It's been a long time. And sometimes that happens. Well, thank you. And I promise you, Dwayne, that's what you're going to get, because I'm not an AI fan like that. Nothing wrong with people who use it, but it's just not a tool that I gel with. I don't think so. I have been laughed at for years because I talk about them. I started listening to you the month after you started. I've listened to every episode, some twice or even more. Well, I do appreciate that, Sandra. I'm glad you found this channel where maybe it resonates with you. And I hate to hear that you've been laughed at. That's why I don't often tell a lot of people things like, oh, what do you do? Yeah, I really never answer that if I can, because people who otherwise treat me quite respectably will suddenly treat me less respectably as soon as I say I do narration. Because if I say I do YouTube, or if I do narrations, they're like, oh, well, what about? When you tell them, about 90% of the time, they back up and they look at you differently. They do. And, I get that. That's okay. That's okay. I'm not saying I've seen any. I can only just repeat other people's stories that I think need to be heard. But that's just me. Sorry, I shouldn't eat ice on live stream. Have you ever came face to face with a Bigfoot? Do you write your stories? Simple answer, no and no. I've never seen a Bigfoot, never heard tree knocks. I've never been out there and something happened that I couldn't at least semi-reasonably say that was a deadfall finally going ahead and breaking down. That was the wind making the trees creak or whatever. I could almost always find a plausible explanation. So haven't seen one, haven't heard one, can't make that claim. Do you write your stories? No, I do not. I really don't have the bandwidth. And when you go through and you listen to a lot of the stories, you'll find some are written very differently, at very different, I don't want to say style, but you can tell they have a different speaking voice, if that makes sense. Their speech patterns, the words they choose. And they will be vastly different sometimes from one story to another. Now, sometimes some stories are written in a way to me that when I read them and I try to narrate them, I start stumbling a lot. So I will go back through and I will smooth those out because I have to. Otherwise, narration is a nightmare. And I promise you, you would not appreciate listening to it. And that's no reflection on the writer. Not everyone is a writer, and that's okay. But for me to be a narrator, I'm not a news anchor. I'm a narrator. There's a difference. So I do smooth out the stories. I make them a little more palatable to the ear. And the quickest way to figure out whether or not something is well written, and you can use this for your own writing purposes. When you've written something, stop, read it back out loud. Really read it out loud. You will suddenly find every word you missed, whether it's and or but. You will suddenly hear that you used the same word like 4 times in one paragraph. You didn't realize you said before and again 4 times each until you say it, you read it back out loud. That's one of the most valuable tools. You'll also find that you're stumbling over things that you didn't realize were a problem when you wrote them. And the thing is, when you're writing, you have time, so your mind is working things out. When you're narrating, your mouth can't make that gap up. So I do have to smooth some things out because words are missing, or every time I go to record it, it's not flowing. It doesn't make sense, or I'm constantly stumbling over something. So those things I will do. I will fix stories. And by that, I do mean fix. But I don't write them. If I was a writer, I would have books written on all kinds of things, fiction, this, and I don't mean just Bigfoot, although I am considering a book about Bigfoot. But no, I don't write them. I don't write them. Let me see here. I didn't like when Cam used it. I could tell his inflect. Okay, I guess that means the AI voice. And I think that was what I meant earlier. He said he didn't. He tried it, but it wasn't him. I think that was him that told me that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of AI voices, and it confuses me that these little channels on YouTube are exploding with AI content and AI voices. And I'll say about 50-60% of the time, if you go look at the about on that channel, you'll see it's out of Singapore, it's out of Thailand, it's out of somewhere where English is not a native language. But thanks to AI now, they can capture an English-speaking audience, which is the gold standard in the world, especially for advertising. I don't make the rules. But whereas before they could never have narrated, they could never have told stories or whatever, for a lot of reasons, now they can. AI has opened up a whole new world for some people. For people like me, it's heavy competition now, and it is what it is. And it's sad, but quite often people are preferring the AI content. Okay. Yep, I'm a writer, and AI is killing off my art. Folks, just use AI to write stuff now. But little kitty, maybe AI is getting better, but I always feel like I can pick out AI written stuff. They use strange cadences. A lot of the sentences will be really short, I think, or at least the ones I've seen, kind of bullet point, boom, 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 boom. And they will use really strange, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if it's like, let me give you an example. They will talk about the night was holding its breath. It wasn't breathing anymore. Well, the night doesn't do that. The night doesn't breathe or hold its breath. Just say really strange things that don't make sense, that nobody would say naturally. But again, people seem to like them. So, well, I'm glad you stopped by. I'm sure he's probably gone by now, but just wanted to say thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Hello, Sharon. And hello to you there in Belgium. Haven't been to Belgium. Been almost everywhere else in continental Europe, Germany, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands. But I haven't been to Belgium. I'll have to hit that next time. I would agree with that 100%, Figgy. They don't know. I call you Delilah in the midnight voice. Well, thank you, Figgy. I've had a lot of people say, you missed your calling. You should have been a radio personality. You should have done this. Well, maybe, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing now. So, okay. Thanks, Steve. I met Nancy. She doesn't even move like a robot. I don't know. Some days with my arthritis, I do move kind of crunchy like an old lady. Don't go on a cruise ship. Never mind Bigfoot. You'll encounter far worse creatures. I've only done river cruises. I've never been on an ocean cruise. I don't really want to be on board with, 10,000 other people. I went on a small river cruise down the Rhine, and I think there were 120 people on board, including the crew, and it was wonderful. That's the cruise I will do. The big ocean cruises, maybe I will for Bigfoot, but that would be the only thing. I'm probably way behind on these comments, so bear with me as I kind of go through real quick. Oh my goodness. I got to call you and Barb. Hey there, old bear. I'm glad to see you, my friend. I have not forgotten about you. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it earlier, but I got some big family things going on. So, yeah, time's precious right now. So, anyway, holy smokes! Greetings from Camp Pendleton. Well, I know that area well. Did some time in San Clemente, Oceanside. Yeah, my daddy was a Marine out there. He was the first Marine too. So pretty fond of Camp Pendleton. So hello to you there. And thank you. Let's see. I like the saying, it's good to be open-minded, but you can get so open that your brains fall out. That's my standpoint when it comes to Bigfoot. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone, though. Well, I think you pretty much have just summed up how I feel. Like I said, I have to decide for myself. Once we say we believe in Bigfoot, we have crossed that Rubicon. I don't demand that other people believe what I believe. But I don't always believe everything other people say either. But I'm not calling them liars. I just think they have different perceptions. Sorry, got a brat kitty again. She's a little brat. Welcome, Tommy. I hope you're happy here. We're a pretty good community here. I will say that. My SAS squad, which you are now part of, they're really cool people. Trust me. Do you want to have a Bigfoot experience? I said before, the only experience I want to have is I'm in a car doing about 60 miles an hour on the interstate. I have binoculars and I see it from about 300 yards away, and we're moving faster than it is. I don't know. I know a lot of people say they're friendly and they're wonderful, and they very well may be. I'm not going to take that chance. I remember a story about some guy was somewhere in South Africa, and he's out there overnight, and right at dusk a huge male lion comes walking by, eyes him, sees him, just keeps walking right by. Well, that guy was so sure that meant that male lions really aren't as aggressive as people say they are. Needless to say, he lost his life to a lion a few months later. you know just because one is not aggressive doesn't mean they are not aggressive as a whole. I'm not going to take that chance. Call me wimpy, but I'm getting too old and I don't run that fast anymore. Not that I could probably have ever outran a Bigfoot, but you're so sweet, old bear. You really are. You're a good guy, Ralph. You really are. Tell Barb I said hello and smoochies to her. I was thinking the same thing, Sasquatch Seeker. Old Bear's got a pretty good thing going on over there. I haven't been able to get out and about on a lot of other YouTube channels lately. I haven't even been able to see Cam in probably 2 or 3 months, his YouTube. I think the other day an autoplay came on for, I don't know if it was one of Kitty's at Pine Box Tales or Cryptids Canada. It might have been both. But I was down here working, and I have YouTube playlists playing on my TV, and they just go to something else all the time. Let's see. I'm just checking in now. Hi, Helkus. Do you believe all the stories you narrate? Now, that's a tricky one. On the surface, I want to say, of course I do. But the reality is that's not true. There are some that I just shake my head and say, I'm not sure I believe that. But at the same time, it's not that I disbelieve them. I don't think they're lying. There's just something about it I just can't believe. But then again, anyone else outside this genre would say, I can't believe anything that's Bigfoot related. So it's just different degrees of what you believe. But there are some that I really wonder. But once I go past that wonder point, I won't narrate it. I won't narrate it. There are some that I get that are so ridiculous, there's no way. And I know they're fake. I know they are. And I've had a few in the last couple of months try to slip some AI stuff to me. Again, because it's stilted, it's not polished, and it will contradict themselves a lot. I don't know, even these AI channels that do AI narration, you listen to a couple of those stories, which I have out of curiosity, and you'll notice they are literally contradicting themselves. Just one right after another. They're just contradicting themselves. Miss Nance, how can we help your channel grow even more? I really don't know how to answer that anymore. A year ago, I could have answered it. Something has changed with YouTube this year. I'm not the only one. Even I've spoken with some other people. I've spoken with Cam at Dixie Crypto. I've spoken with Leslie at Cryptids Canada. We all, at about the same time, took a tremendous downturn in our views. Now, that's unheard of for Dixie Cryptid. I don't know about Cryptids Canada. I don't know, but that doesn't happen. And I have been negative subscribers now for about 4 months, meaning I'm losing more subscribers every day than I'm gaining. That has never happened in 6.5 years. There is something going on. I don't know how to tell you anymore, because it doesn't seem to matter that all my other stats, I won't bore you with them, are stellar and through the roof. My click-through rate, which basically means when they show you all the little thumbnails on your home screen for you to pick and choose from, if you click on that, that's called a click-through rate. So on average, my click-through rate is 11 to 13%, which is very high. Most YouTubers get about 3 to 5%, according to what I've read. So even though that's high, my retention is high, meaning people stay and listen to my videos for a longer percentage than most. Those are things that used to drive the AI to bring traffic, or not the AI, the algorithm to bring traffic to you. Well, it isn't anymore. So honestly, I really do not know. I don't know. But I know the Bigfoot topic is alive and well. The podcast has been going gangbusters. I'm starting to get more views on the podcast than I am on YouTube. So make of that what you will. But how to help my channel grow, I really don't know. I mean, you can share videos, things like that. Those are probably the most helpful things. And thank you for thinking of that. Let's see. Well, we're talking about everything but Bigfoot tonight, aren't we? I'm so sorry, folks. I think my mind is kind of Bigfoot fatigued at the moment. I'm prepping for the 12 days of Squatchmas, and it kind of wears me down. In this house, my husband knows that's going to mean probably a lot of grilled cheese for dinner, fried bologna sandwiches, or frozen pizzas for 2 weeks because it just takes all my time. I do try to prep a lot ahead, but sometimes people don't send in the stories until Thanksgiving or a little after Thanksgiving. Then I have to spend all the time editing them. And then I got to do all the narration. Then I have to edit the narration. Then I have to put it to the video. It's a longer process than you would think. So, yeah. It's going to be fun for the next couple of weeks. That's all I can say. It's going to be fun. I feel I need to clarify my previous comment about being so open-minded your brains fall out. I was saying that in reference to when you were talking about some of the crazy stories you get sent. Oh, I understood what you meant, and I completely agree. I really, really do. You didn't have to clarify. We got it. You were right on. You were dead on. So. Thank you, Jason Finch. You're always so kind, and you always make the nicest comments. I really do appreciate that. If you could recommend one Bigfoot book, what would it be? Hang on. Yes, I really do walk around with a cat. This one from Dr. Meldrum, the late Dr. Meldrum. I've read this, and of course, his scientific mind laid out everything so well. His arguments that he had in there that he defended and rebutted all on his own. So you heard both sides are really good. He went into the possibility of the Patterson-Gimlin film ever being a hoax. As an anthropologist, he brought a lot of knowledge to the table that's definitely worth reading. That would be, if you were to start anywhere, that would be my favorite one to recommend. The other thing is, like I said before, maybe the Bigfoot Times, just to keep abreast of what's going on out there. But yeah, so let's see. Trying to see what else we got here. You are fine. You are absolutely fine. It's hard to get me feeling upset or something like that. I don't take things like that as a rule. I don't take them the wrong way. No. I got another kitty trying to claw my leg. Hi, Nancy. It's Barb. Miss you. I miss you too. I miss you and Ralph so much. But this year has been rough. As I explained to some of the other people earlier, I've got some family medical issues going on that are taking the time up, so to speak. I won't even commit to going to conventions or conferences in 2026 because I do not know what might happen with this person. I'll have to get with you and I'll let you know what's going on. But right now, no, I can't seem to get away. So, but yeah, I do need to call you and chit chat. So miss you too, darling. Okay. What do you think about aliens and UFO stuff? That's a tough one to answer. They aren't a big interest of mine. That isn't to say that I don't believe that they exist. Strangely, I think we'd be crazy. I mean, how much hubris do we as humans need to have to think that in the entire universe, we are the only sentient living beings? I don't believe that. I believe there are many others out there. We may not have encountered them yet. So what do I think of them? I'm not as versed in that subject to really say. I hate to say that, but I'm just not. So yeah, I allow they probably exist. Let's see. YouTube is unfollowing subscribers and not sending notifications. I have to keep resetting. Jan, that is exactly true. From what I have understood, what's happening is if you don't visit a channel regularly, or if you skip their thumbnail more than so many times in a row, then they just remove them from your feed. And after so long, they just unsubscribe you, because I have been through the same thing. There have been several that I have not been able to get to recently, a lot of channels. And I found that I'm unsubscribed to them. So, and I think that's kind of what's happening to me with my channel. So I don't get the alert right away, like tonight. Tammy, that's true as well. A lot of things I had give me all notifications have been, personalized or only some or whatever. I don't hardly get them either. Do you think the government has something to do with the subscriber issue when someone starts getting too popular, at least with the Bigfoot topic? I will say no for one reason, because there are certain Bigfoot channels out there. Oh, okay. Certain Bigfoot channels out there that are not having a negative subscriber issue. So if it was every Bigfoot channel, I would say there's a possibility, but it isn't. It really isn't. I wish it was that simple that I could blame it on something. I like listening to your channel and like it when you do the Christmas specials. I listen to every time you have it for special Christmas. Well, it starts next Saturday, the 13th. We're kicking off the 12 days of Squatchmas all over again. So glad you like them. I like them too. Okay, I'm just looking for some other bits. And yes, it is. Snackage at Nance's. Oh, you know what me and my husband had for dinner today? Total snack. Most people have it as an appetizer. We just make a meal of it just because we're total troglodytes. And it's sausage dip. If you've never had it, it is delicious. And you put 1 pound of regular pork breakfast sausage, fry it up, drain it, and you're going to add 1 can of drained Rotel to it, and you're going to put 2 blocks of cream cheese melted. Stir it all up. Serve with salty Tostitos scoops. Trust me. It looks terrible. We call it puke dip because it's all white and creamy, but it's actually so delicious. Every time I take it somewhere, the bowl is scraped clean. It's really, really good. So that was our little dinner tonight. We just wanted a little appetizer. So yes, snackage time at Nance's. It's funny. I actually thought about doing a little bitty Buckeye Bigfoot, like recipe book full of different snackages and stuff, but I never did it. Well, that's a release. You know what? Because I never know what I'm going to say. And honestly, I'm one of those people, I will rant and rage before I have to go do something or go somewhere. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go somewhere. Then I get there and I'm fine. I don't know if any of you are like that. I don't know if that's a social, I don't want to say anxiety, but social thing. I don't know. But today I was ranting and I don't want to do this live stream. I don't want to do this live stream. I never know what to say. I never know what to say. And then I get on here and I have the best time. And I talk so much and I don't even know what I'm talking, what my next topic's going to be. So I'm glad you think it's fun because I really didn't know what I was going to say. I had those questions from people, but that's about it. I've noticed that all my comments on Satan's Tube gets deleted, not by the channel owners, but by Satan's Tube, especially about non-politically correct topics, but even on animal channels. I do see a lot of that. The other thing that you should probably know, and I have this issue on my channel. So when I'm going through and I have comments, and as most of you know, all comments are held to be approved. So when you comment, it doesn't automatically go to the actual page. I have to go through and read them and approve them. Now, there's a thing where after I've seen the same name for 6 months or a year and you've played nice on the channel, I can hit your name and say approve all comments automatically. I do that for a lot of my regular commenters. I don't expect them to be a problem. What I've noticed is a lot of them that I know I have put on automatic approvals are being removed from automatic approvals. I don't know why. So I go in and I approve them again and they're removed again. So I'm not sure what's going on with some of that commenting thing. I wish I could explain it. So if you make a comment and it doesn't show up right away, it just means it's waiting for me to get on there and approve it. And that's how I keep spammers and nasty people off the channel as much as possible. If you saw the amount of YouTube profiles saying, great content, and the picture is just a woman's butt with a thong, and you click on them and all it is just they're trying to get you to go to their OnlyFans or this or that. It's just total bots, usually from Russia or Ukraine or wherever. I bet I delete 40 or 50 of those a day. I block them, but they just make new channels all the time. But a lot of other channels, you'll see they're totally spammed with a lot of that. And, you know, it takes a long time to get through a lot of the comments. Thank you for the Meldrum book recommendation. I really can't recommend this book enough. He's, you know, I mean, he goes through and he'll give you really, really good. And this is the anthropologist in him talking here, where he's overlaying skeletons with the Patty Bigfoot. It's that kind of stuff. It's not, he doesn't do conjecture. I mean, he goes through the Patterson-Gimlin film almost frame by frame in spots. He really discusses the locomotion. He discusses and shows how easy or not easy it would have been to hoax it. Just, there's so much in this book. It is so valuable. I mean, I'm talking about the Patterson-Gimlin, but he goes into a lot of other things. A lot of scientific things. Yeah, I'm really sad he's gone. I really had hoped to really, really, really meet him one day. I mean, I had a brief meeting with him at the one and only Bigfoot Festival at Salt Fork when he was there. Matter of fact, that's where I bought this book. But he was in the speakers area at the time. So I didn't get a chance. I didn't get back around for him to sign it. But I spoke with him. No, second time I went around to buy the book. That's true. And I did get to speak to him very briefly. And I told him all about the channel I was going to start. And he was very encouraging. He's like, yes, everybody's story needs to be told. There's a lot of stories still out there. I don't know. I just always hoped, he seemed like such a neat person. I would have loved very much to have actually met him for real. Oh, hey, Chris. Hey, Nance. Just got off the phone with Lisa and now talking to Cindy. Both say hello and send their love. Me too. Well, love back to you and Cindy and Lisa and everybody. So, yeah. You guys are a lot of fun. I'm so glad I met you guys in Gatlinburg. Everybody, I met all of them in Gatlinburg. Now, I had talked to Chris before that, but the other people, Lisa and Cindy, I got to meet all of them in Gatlinburg, and we all actually talk all the time on Facebook. It's really kind of cool. Yeah. So this is what I love. I love getting to see people because otherwise I'm here all day by myself, day in and day out. I don't talk to anyone but the cats. So my husband works long hours. So love having good friends. About 2 or 3 of the other people I follow have said the exact same thing. So something is going on. I know if you're talking about the YouTube, I know YouTube changes their algorithm roughly every 6 months, give or take. That's what I've heard. And I understand that. They're always looking to improve. They're always looking to better things, not just for them, but literally, I do think for us creators as well. They're not there to stop us because they want us to produce content and they want people to see our videos because they don't get any advertiser money if nobody's watching. And for the record, they get 40% of all my advertising money. So they want me to produce. So I keep that in mind. I grumble, but if there's one thing I've learned with YouTube in the last 6.5 years, something changes all the time. So I'm just going to try to hang in there. I worry about Bigfoot going barefoot in the woods, getting their feet hurt. Well, I bet they have strong soles on their feet. I know when I was a little kid and I ran around barefoot, I really didn't even know I had a piece of glass in my foot till I was at home. And I was sitting cross-legged and my mom happened to be sitting on the couch and she looked down. She's like, "What is that in your foot?" It was a piece of glass, a little one, but I didn't even know it. It was just catching the reflection of the TV, I guess. And yeah, because I had thick soles on my feet. So I imagine theirs are really, really thick. Hi, Queen. My mom watches you all the time, including now, and it's her birthday. Can you please say happy birthday to Paula? Happy birthday, Paula. I do hope it's a wonderful and lovely one. Thank you for watching. No, we're not. We're not by a long shot. Not at all. Let's see. I'm just looking for any other questions or sausage dip. My kind of dinner. Yes, it is. And, you mentioned Velveeta cheese here. Now, I guess Sunday is our snackage night where I kind of knock off and I don't really make a dinner because it's just me and him. And we do a lot of like appetizers because last weekend we did another appetizer called Hanky Pankies. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of those little tiny party rye breads. You take 1 pound of Italian sausage, 1 pound of ground beef, fry those up, drain it, and you put in Velveeta and melt it with the meat. And then you put it on top of the party rye and you sort of bake those for a little bit to get the bread a little crispy. Another one to die for. Little tiny party bites. They're really good. So you saying that, Squatch Seeker, about Velveeta, well, I had to bring that up. So maybe I should do like a Buckeye Bigfoot snackage book or something. I mean, half of what we're talking about tonight is snackage. So let's see. I made that for football after you talked about it before. Oh, the dip, the sausage dip. I hope everyone liked it, Sandra, because I know when I take it somewhere, it is gone in a second. Miss Nance, do you celebrate Buckeye Bigfoot's anniversary? I think the first year or two I did, and then after that, it's kind of like it kind of fell by the wayside. I have been stuck at 84,700 subscribers for about 4 months now. It goes up and goes down by about the same 20 subscribers for 4 months. Statistically, that's impossible, but that's what's happening. My point is, if all this hadn't stopped, I should be at 100,000 subscribers within the next couple months, but I'm not. I'm going to celebrate when I make it to 100,000 subscribers. And here's the really sad thing. 100,000 subscribers is still small potatoes in the YouTube world. Can you believe that? Because it is. It is. Oh, let's see. Hi, Nance. Hope all is well with you and Dean. We're doing fine. Like I said, I got some updates I got to give you. I need to get on the phone, Barb. I believe that's my old Bears, Barb. Is that correct? If so, I need to get with you soon. Do you occasionally take in some no Bigfoot stories like Dogman and perhaps extraterrestrial experiences? I have had a couple Dogman through the years. The only thing close to an extraterrestrial experience I've put on the channel was from Figgy, one of our Sasquatch. She's originally from Puerto Rico, and she was talking about how Puerto Rico is such a UFO hotspot. And I did profile that one time because she took the time to write it up, and I thought it was interesting. I have really thought about doing another channel for that, but look, I couldn't even keep up with Under a Dark Moon with what's going on. Maybe in the new year. Let's hope things get better, huh? Yeah, he does. Now, if you guys haven't been to Old Bear's Den, goodness sakes, I can't talk tonight. Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot, I suggest you hop over and check it out. He's always got different stuff going on. He has some great talks with people. Definitely want to check him out. Hi, Brianna. I'm glad you made it. Thanks for showing up. Sorry I'm so behind here on, yeah. Kids watch your channel too, so we keep our words nice. Yeah, I do. I try really hard not to use a lot of profanity. There's nothing wrong with profanity, but I am aware that we do have a lot of younger people that watch the channel. So can a hell or a damn sneak through? Yeah, but a lot of people write in with the F words, and I ain't doing the F words. That's just not happening. Or I'll change it to say flippin' or freaking or something like that, but I won't. I just won't. You have any Yeti bars left over? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. I think I'm sold through. And, I don't know if I'll do soaps again or not. I was surprised at how well they sold. Yeah, no, I don't think I do. I was trying to think, but I don't think I do. My husband is sending me, he's upstairs and he's watching. He's trying to also watch for questions. So if I go quiet for a second, I'm reading his messages on Facebook because he's like, you forgot this one. You forgot that one. Hey, Nance, from here in Australia, I have a story of my youth. I would love to tell you about it. Please do, Scott. We've had a lot of really good stories out of Australia over the years. Some really incredible Yowie experiences, all kinds of neat stuff. So you can send it in. My email is contact@buckeyebigfoot.com. Please send it in because I promise you, everybody here will also tell you we would love to have that. What is the wildest Sasquatch story you have come across? I'd have to really think about that one. There's like a real line of delineation when it comes to my stories. There's the ones I like and I will narrate and they're good. And then there's the really crazy wild ones that I won't narrate. Now, which one's the crazy one? The most wild one? I honestly, I can't say. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to think about that one. And this is why I ask people to send in questions in advance if you think of something, because sometimes I have to think about what I'd like to say. It's pretty sad, isn't it? Aw, love you, old bear. Thanks for stopping by. Please say the sausage dip ingredients again. I was in the shower and couldn't write it down. It's pretty simple. It's 1 to 1 to 2. So you want 1 pound of regular pork sausage. I usually use Bob Evans. When I can find it in the blue label, fine. If not, use the white label. Just fry up your sausage and drain it. Then take 1 can of Rotel, drain it, and then you're going to have 2 blocks, 8-ounce blocks of Philadelphia cream cheese. Melt the cream cheese. I do it usually in the microwave till it's soft and creamy. And then add your Rotel and add your sausage. That's it. Stir it together. You want to use Tostitos. I get the scoops. You want the Tostitos corn chips for these because you want that extra salty goodness. Believe me, it sets it off just right. They are really good. Okay. Nance's Buckeye Bigfoot Saddle Up Snackage Cookbook. That's funny. I was actually thinking about doing a cool calendar this next year. I don't want to give away the details, but I will try to do it. Maybe I'll start it for 2027 next year. I had a really good concept with that. Let's see. I'm sure I missed it, but what made you start the Buckeye Bigfoot? I had cousins who had an experience back in the 80s, so I always kind of believed. I went to a Bigfoot convention. I was talking to a lot of people who had experiences, and about half the time I would hear, I never say anything because I'm in the middle of a custody battle, or I never say anything because my boss is ultra religious and I'd probably lose my job. And I quickly figured out that there were a lot of people out there who weren't willing to necessarily go and seek out and put themselves out there for a lot of different reasons. Now, of course, some will, most will, I think, but there are some people who don't want to. And so that gave me the idea. I would ask them, well, if you don't want to tell your story, can I tell it for you? And that's how it started. So it was just a dream. I didn't think it would ever take off. I thought, who's going to listen to me? Let's see. Thank you, Harvey. Appreciate it. Well, I'm still kind of behind. I'm trying my best to catch up, people. Oh, wait. I think I'm at the end of all those comments. What's the hardest thing you've achieved with the Buckeye Bigfoot channel? What have I achieved? The hardest thing I've achieved. I'm not sure what the hardest thing would be. I think one of the biggest things I've achieved is just helping people feel at ease to tell their stories. And now it's not such a big deal, but you go back 10 or 15 years before this sort of thing was more common on the internet. People were a lot more hesitant to tell their stories for a lot of reasons. So, yeah. I don't know. That was a good question. I got to think about that one. It may be that some commenters are not nice at all towards certain public figures that are subject in other YouTube videos regarding a sudden loss of commenters you've okayed. There could be a lot of truth to that too. There is a lot of, I don't want to call it infighting. There's really not fighting. But it seems like there's a lot of animosity in some areas of this community on YouTube. I don't really get into it, even the ones that I probably should. I just don't. It's going to take a lot before I would do that. I pick and choose my battles. I learned that in the corporate world. it just wasn't worth my time most of the time. I just plowed on ahead. And that's what I'm doing with this channel. I'm just plowing right on ahead. Is it just me, but why can't I see all of the comments? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Does everyone else feel like they're seeing all the comments? I don't know. I know what I'm seeing on my end, but so Figgy, tell me what kind of division you're seeing. What is it over viewership that they're getting upset about? Okay. Figgy says she sees all the comments. I think I am. So I don't know what the other one is. Lon, I hate to think that you're not seeing all the comments. So everyone else is like, did we come to the end of the comments? So I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's glitching. Maybe it's because I've been at this for an hour and 40 some minutes. Maybe I need to stop running my mouth. And I probably will cut it off here in a few minutes. I normally don't run this long, but yeah, everybody else is saying, I see all the comments. I see comments scroll up, y'all. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions real quick before we go? I know this wasn't as Bigfoot centric as I thought it was going to be. Normally I have a lot more topics. I have other questions. It just didn't work out that way tonight. It's been really it's been really an unusual week. If you have a new channel and you're raking views, the other channels try to sabotage your channel. I have heard that. Yeah, I have heard that. And I don't understand that. I don't. Getting started on YouTube is no joke. It's not necessarily easy. Now, some are easier than others. I remember how daunting of a task it seemed to me. I will never forget another YouTuber who helped me very early on. And they changed the trajectory of my channel almost overnight. I never have forgotten that. So I can't launch other people the way that person did me. They were bigger back then than I am right now. But I do try to give exposure to other channels. I know one Christmas I sent everybody around to go give other channels views and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun. I don't know. I like helping other channels. I don't understand the whole mean high school girl bull crap. I had to deal with mean girls in high school. I was really good at dealing with them. I had to deal with mean girls in the corporate world, and I'm really good at dealing with them. I could do it here on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on YouTube. I don't want to, because I don't know. I'm not in a pressure society like school or the corporate world where I have to be there and I have to play by someone else's rules. So I don't understand this mean girl stuff. You have all the choices in the world. Why would you choose to try to sabotage another channel? I'm not sure how that exactly even works, but I don't know. I like to help people. I've never done a true collaboration. Someone just approached me about that recently. I've never done a true collaboration. I don't know. I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. A childish mindset, yes. And, I remember when I first started, and it was hard for me to deal with the really, really awful comments people were leaving. They were personal attacks, really personal. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And someone else I knew said, you need to look up hater psychology and it will explain everything. And I did. And hater psychology is pretty much they will attack you and attack you and attack you because you scare them, for one. You're doing what they're too afraid to do or wish they could do. They have to tear you down. The biggest fear for them is you succeeding. Once I began to understand that, a lot of things changed in how I dealt with things, comments in particular. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the whole mean girl thing. I understand what their problem is. They're scared to see someone else succeed. That goes along with these other YouTube channels. And I just don't play that game. I just don't. So. Oh, talking about when I sent everybody to be my deranged little elves. Christmas, and you asked us all to check out Merry Christmas. You could tell they were shocked and surprised and grateful. Yeah, all the other channels they were just like, what? What's going on? Because all of a sudden these smaller channels, they weren't necessarily small, but smaller channels would suddenly get 2,000 or 3,000 views overnight. And that was a big shock for them. It was a big surprise. And they got a lot of them got a lot of new subscribers. And that was the point. Spread a little Christmas cheer. Seeing your stats jump on YouTube, that's the biggest present you can give a YouTuber. And it's not about money sometimes. It's an acknowledgement of all the extreme hard work you've put into your channel, into your videos. And you will spend 2 days on a video perfecting it. And you put it out and you don't hardly get any views and you don't know how to change that. And then all of a sudden you get a bunch of views on it and it feels really good. I mean, try to imagine going to work every day and you don't know what, if anything, you're going to get paid. For a lot of people on YouTube, that's kind of what it's like. I'm not saying YouTube is their job, but if you've never really produced a whole video from beginning to end, including musics and dub overs and everything, if you've never done that and uploaded it to YouTube, it's hard to explain. It sounds like a bunch of hoo-ha, but it's a little more involved than you would more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be simple. I just record and upload it and I'm done. There's a little more to it than that. I saw something about somebody else. Kelly and Hank are still here. I thought I saw. Now I can't find it. Clay and Ginger have disappeared off air. Refresh my memory. Clay and Ginger. It's rolling around in my head, but it's not. I can't think of who it is. Prefer listening to you as you are nice and other channels may not be as nice. Some are, and some really try. Some I really don't know how to read them. I don't know. Please don't lick my water bottle, kitty. I've never talked to them, so I don't know what they're really like. Sorry, that was the cat walking on everything. I don't know. I've talked with a couple of channels. I'm kind of like a Bigfoot in the Bigfoot community. I'm here. People say they've seen me, but I don't really come out and socialize as much as I probably should. I'm really kind of weird about that. Let's see. By the way, Nance, I didn't mean for my Appalachian, whichever you prefer, pronunciation comment to be taken personally. Oh, I don't think it did. This is something I really hate about the internet, and in text messaging, emails. When you write things, people can't hear your tone or inflection of voice. So let me give you an example. Let's just say, oh, hamburgers for dinner again. You could say, hamburgers for dinner again. Or you could say, oh, hamburgers for dinner again. Your tone and inflection will change the meaning of the exact same words. So if I answered you and it sounded nasty, James, Alex, Rohrback, I do apologize. I probably didn't mean it. I'm not as snappy and mean as I sound when I type things out. So I apologize if I did, because I didn't take anything personally. I really didn't. Miss Nance, sorry to ask again. I cannot find the video where you explain the meaning behind calling your channel Buckeye Bigfoot. I don't remember what the channel is, but the basic premise is this. For those especially outside the United States, my state of Ohio is called the Buckeye State. And the reason is when the pioneers first came, there were a tremendous amount of Buckeye trees. So they dropped these nuts that are very similar to what in Europe is called like a chestnut. And I think it is in the same chestnut tree family, but the Buckeyes aren't edible here. They called them a buck-eye because the large doe, the large deer, the bucks, for some reason they said it looked like their eyes, and they called them buck's eyes to begin with, and it was shortened to Buckeye. So even now, I can go almost anywhere in the United States. If they ask where I'm from, I say, oh, I'm a Buckeye. They know I'm from Ohio. That's not something most people around the world would know or understand. So the point is, it became Buckeye Bigfoot because it was a regional thing. And I started originally with stories from Ohio. After several months, I was running out of stories from Ohio. I wasn't getting any from Ohio. But I'd have a few people pop up and say, mine was in Washington State. Would you still take it? Of course I will. And that's when, in hindsight, I kind of wish I had named this channel something else because it's so regional that I think a lot of people turn away. They're like, oh, Buckeye, how many Ohio Bigfoots are there? I don't care about the Ohio Bigfoot. So that's how it started. That's why I chose that name. That was my naivety to begin with. Yeah, I wish I'd named it something different, but 6.5 years in, I don't know that I could successfully change it now. My theory is that only narcissists sabotage other channels. Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that. Most haters are a narcissist, or at least have narcissist tendencies. Again, they don't like to see other people succeed. That just means they didn't succeed, and it really angers them. So I prefer your calm voice when you're narrating. It's so relaxing. Well, thank you, Kelly. Now, in my normal everyday conversation like this, I tend to speak a lot faster. I tend to I will use a lot of the voice I used when I worked in the corporate world, which is a world away from my narrating voice. And it's so funny. People have come to conferences and festivals and they've met me and they're like, you don't sound at all like your channel. But then I'll slip into my narrating voice. They're like, oh my God, it is you. It really is you. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Kelly. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah, we were talking about that one earlier. That was one I listed as one of my favorites when somebody asked. The Athens story about the Down syndrome brother was my favorite too. The man who wrote it was actually a doctor, as I recall, went on to be a doctor. You can tell from the way it's written, he's incredibly well educated. It was so well polished. I don't think I edited a single word. And this is a huge email. I want to say it was like 19 pages in a Word document. It's like a 45-minute, maybe even longer. I don't remember. It's one of my longer videos. But it was very well. It was flawless and polished. And that's kind of hard. I don't get those most often because most people don't write like that anymore. We're in the computer age. They expect the computer to fix everything. And that's okay. But that was truly a stellar story. It was about a lot more than just a Bigfoot. It really broke my and made me smile at the same time. So that was a really, really good one. All right. Well, hello to you in Australia as well. Australia is one of the places I haven't been yet, but it's on my bucket list. I've conquered almost all of Europe, most of North America. Yeah, I think Australia is next. I think Australia is next. Ohio means hello and goodbye in Japanese. I had no idea. That's a good one to know. Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Okay. Well, folks, I have talked for going on almost 2 hours now. I think it's about time to call it a night. I really appreciate that everyone showed up. Everyone listened to me nattering on. I'm sorry for the impromptu having to come to you live from my sewing quilting area. That was not planned. It was not planned. And thanks for putting up with all the kitty butts on camera. I do appreciate it. All you other animal lovers out there. Maybe we should do something different this year for Squatchmas. Maybe I'll pick one night and because I can do a fundraiser on a video. Maybe I'll pick a night and we will donate to an animal shelter all the revenue from that video for like a night or two. Maybe we should do that. Because I was kind of thinking, what else can we do this year that's really nice and special? I don't have a lot of smaller channels that I would recommend people going to right now, not for 12 days worth anyway. So I was trying to think of some other neat things. Maybe would you like to give to a charity? Maybe like an animal foundation or something? I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts in the comments on this video. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful night. And I'll be seeing you again real soon. But until then, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Absence of proof is not proof of absence. Good night, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for showing up. I love you guys.